Hello, live from Kearney, New Jersey. This is Keeping It Real, Staying Alive edition. And this is our second official episode. It's a show where we create positive social support as we collaborate with others in the mental health and fitness industries. And my second official guest of honor is just arriving now. It is Tanner from A Safe Space Inside Your Head, A Safe Place Inside Your Head. And he'll be joining us to share a mental health tool and tell us about what he's doing. Let's let him in here. Thanks for tuning in, man. This is a segment we're doing. This is the second time we're trying it, where we collaborate with others in the mental health and the fitness world.
What's up?
What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up?
Thank you so much for being on the show, for being the second official guest on Keeping It Real, Staying Alive.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. This is what's that? I'm sorry.
How are you today? Are you having a good day so far?
I'm having a great day. I had a great night. I rewatched 1989 Batman, so it was a nice.
I was a little nervous for this because I haven't done one of these before, so be easy on me.
Oh, yeah, it's all good. It's all casual, man. We keep it cash here. I just want to let the people know about what you're doing because it's a pretty awesome thing you've got going out there. So if you could just let people know what it is. Your name's Tanner, so I introduced you, but what it is that you do.
So my name's Tanner, and I am a mental health advocate. So basically, whenever I say mental health advocate, I've pretty much given up my life, not given up essentially, but I've given my life to the cause of mental health and helping people survive and helping people's lives be a little bit more effective and a little bit more easy. I've literally lived the I want to help people as much as I can mantra, or the we rise by lifting others mantra, more than anything. So a little bit about what I do is I just do my best to talk people off ledges. I do my best to try to provide free resources for people, so that they know where they can go if they ever need help, love, and support. I just try to be a mental health advocate. That's pretty much what I'm working on and how hard I'm working.
It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing you're doing. You're working for a bigger cause than yourself, and I'm out here. I think we're on similar paths. You know, we have different avenues, but we're heading in the same direction. And I'm sure you can relate to the sense of fulfillment that you get when you get feedback from people that are tuning into your channel about how it's helped them in their life.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah.
So
it's one of my favorite things, especially whenever someone says, like, I haven't had anybody listen to me before. Thank you so much. Like, I think that it's such a major key. Like, if some people would just listen, you don't have to talk.
yeah.
You don't have to give advice. You just have to listen and be there. Such a major key for people.
Yeah, community and social support is huge for anybody dealing with mental health issues. Just like you said, to have that listening ear, somewhere where they can feel like they're not being judged or pressured, and they can just be open and honest and express themselves.
I agree. Totally.
Yeah, much love, much support, much respect, brother, for what you're doing. And
the stuff you're staying active. You're keeping it active. Like, I wish I could be on your level with how many days now in a row?
230. We're on day 230 of daily training.
I'm day one.
Hey, every day is the first day of the rest of our lives, so it's your choice what you get to do with it, right? If you wanted to give something like this a shot, you're more than welcome. We could do private lessons or something like that, but it's not for everybody. You know, everybody's got to find their avenue, what works for them. This is what really resonated with me as a healthy outlet for aggression, for panic, for fear, for stress. It was a physical outlet that just changed my life.
Hey,
but
you motivate me. I'll tell you that, because I went and I would look for a personal trainer because I was like, I need to get more active because of this guy. I got to catch up. Because he's changed lives by being active. Like, I love that. It's such a cool
Oh,
concept.
dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's freaking great. I mean, anything that we do, like we do in here 10 minutes a day, but any amount we do is better than nothing. You know, any amount is progress. So we kind of have a mindset that progress is success, since there's always room for growth. We can always make progress in life. So that's how we gauge success for ourselves with Sack Life. Every day we're successful because every day we make progress. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that it's had an effect a little bit on you. Are there any comments you want to respond to coming in here? Because it looks like a lot of people are
Yeah, like
flying through.
awesome, brick by brick, because we have a in our community we have a a mantra, obviously, kind of like yours, where every day we don't look at the wall, so to speak. So because the wall, like you're at 233 days, right, or 230 days, and that's a huge wall. Like when I look at that, I'm like, holy cow, that's crazy. That's so much. But when I look at whenever you break it down by one day, when you're like, you just do it one day at a time and you make that brick the most perfect brick you could possibly make it. And then you just continue to lay those bricks and lay those bricks and lay those bricks. Eventually,
Yeah.
230 days like you're at. So,
Yeah. It's we take it day by day, and every day is a new day, is a new start, so you can lay another brick. Absolutely. Shout out to Holistic Chris. She was our first official guest. She's a women's health coach. She does breath work. Check her out. Um, Thank you so much for being here. So we got into what you do. I'd like to tell the people why you do it. What's your motivation for creating this?
oh man, where do I start? Where do I start? Okay, so basically, my mental health journey didn't really start until I would say, 17 actually. So 17, essentially, my brother committed suicide. It was probably the worst thing that up until my life at that point had happened to me. And he did it in a way where basically like we saw him, it gave me PTSD. It changed my life. It really put in perspective that death is something, because at 17 you're like, I'm untouchable, nothing can touch me, like I'm
Yeah.
unstoppable, like the world is my oyster. And like when something oyster, whenever something happens like that, you're like, it brings you back down to earth, and it really sets like a whoa, like this is real, like mental health is real. Like I never in
Yeah.
my wildest dreams did I ever imagine or ever think that something like this could happen to my family. And when it did, it changed everything. It made it to where it was like, okay, how do we save more lives? Like how do we help more people? Like how do we make sure that no one ever feels as sad as my brother felt or as alone as my brother felt in that moment? So when I turned 18, I started reading up on mental health and figuring out like my own mental health. That was because my journey is how I got to this journey and how I got to this whole safe place inside your head. So my journey was, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 11 slash 12, in that area, 9 to 11, 12, and because they were trying to figure out like why I would have such like terrible mood swings and why I would be so like disactive and then dissociative, and then I would like be very active and be very like there.
Yeah.
So I diagnosed with bipolar type 2 whenever I was a kid, and they put me on medicine. And honestly, the medicine, it was hard. It was like constant trying to figure out what was happening, what was going,
Mm.
how it could work. But eventually, we found something that we settled on, and it worked for me, and it worked well. So basically, like whenever I started getting more focused on like, okay, how do I get my own mental health? Like, how do I get to a position where I can be happy? How do I get to a position where I can make it work? I started
Yeah.
studying mental health, and then I just learned more. And then I learned grounding, which we'll talk more later about. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Something that changed my life when I learned how to ground myself. It literally, like, I don't know what it was, but it was like an unlock. And once
Yeah.
I learned how to do that, it helped me become a better human being, because I realized that as I grounded myself, I became more in my emotions, and it basically helped me understand that other people have emotions too. So in that mental health journey, as I became more encompassed with my emotions, I was able to see other people and their emotions, and I was like, wow, like I'm not alone. I'm I'm not alone, but where do I go? That's kind of the question that I always ask myself. I'm not alone, but where do I
Yeah.
go? Where do I go to get help? Like I know there was therapy, and I know there's that and that, but I was an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid. I had
At this point, you knew you wanted help, though. You didn't want things to end. You wanted things to get better,
yeah, yeah.
right?
I never wanted someone to feel as alone as my brother did.
Yeah,
In his last moments, he felt so alone, like he could go nowhere, like he had nowhere to go.
yeah. Oh, I think we lost some connection there.
Can you see me?
We lost connection there for a second. But
Yeah, my
yeah, someone
internet's
asked me if
sorry
braid
for
my
that.
beard. I don't braid it, man. But thanks for the compliment. Um, yeah, it's terrible that people have to feel alone when there's so many of us going through such similar situations, and we have so much perspective to offer each other if we would just talk about it. And I think it's a big part about what both of us are doing in our own ways is getting people to be open about these mental health issues, making them okay. It's okay to have, like, I struggle with depression and anxiety, but I'm hitting the bag. I'm still meeting my goals. I'm getting accomplishment every day. It doesn't have to stop me. It doesn't make you weaker to have an illness. We're not defined by our illness. This is our life, and we have control of what we do with it.
I
So,
agree with that fully. Not defined by our illness, but what we are defined by is by the characteristics of who we are as a person and how we navigate through our mental illness, and that's important.
yeah,
So,
I agree with that. So,
so
so yeah, you were in this space, and you knew you wanted help, and you wanted a direction. You didn't know which direction to go, right?
exactly.
And then what happened?
So basically, whenever I turned 20, I think it was 21, because I had gone through that whole time of like helping people, helping people, helping people. And I was like, how do I do this on like a larger scale? Like, how can we make this happen? So on my brother's birthday 2 years ago, well, a year ago, I guess, I was like, all right, I'm going to create a Facebook group called The Safe Place Inside Your Head. I don't know how the name came to me. I don't know exactly what happened or anything like that. It was just a random, like, I just need a safe place to go. I just need someone to talk to. I need someone to talk about to something, you know? Like, I want to meet people who have things that are like me. I want to be a part of the similar interest group, you know? I don't want to feel alone. So, me and
You're
my,
building a tribe. That's what you're doing. You're creating a tribe out
exactly.
there.
So, I, me and my ex girlfriend created the group, the Facebook group together, right? So, basically we created the Facebook group and we added all of our friends who we were like who we know who would like talk about mental illness or like who have suffered from it or who was passionate about it and things like that. We ended up starting with 500 members and it was an active community where people felt engaged where they could talk about things. Now that community is up to 1,500, which is great. But then we created the Instagram. The Instagram is its own beast per se, like
Yeah.
its own thing because it we just were what we wanted to do was post relatable things where people could like we didn't want to be like a fake positive Instagram. We didn't want to be like one of those where all we did was post positivity all the time. Like
Yeah.
we wanted to post like the real stuff, like the hey, this is you're not happy all the time. That's the most honest answer I have, you know? So
Yeah. Stuff still happens that gets us down. And when we recover more in our mental health, we bounce back faster. But we still get down when things go wrong. That's normal human behavior. So yeah, really cool. And I
we
think
wanted
you're
like that.
doing a good job out there connecting with people and making it real. It's definitely something I felt when I visit your page and I see specifically your lives. I feel that real, that genuine element that's kind of missing from the general positive post
Yeah.
pages.
Yeah, because I tell you right now, I'm not like professional, like videographer. Like I'm using my iPhone camera, and like I don't have a back screen. Like I don't have any of
Yeah,
the professional stuff. But like, it's not about how I'm presenting the message. It's about getting the message out there, right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'm not ever going to be that professional, positive Patty guy. I'm always going to be the realistic. Like this is what you're going to get. This is the message you're going to get and that's what it looks like. Because I
Yeah,
real because real people recognize real people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
and
That's why I was gonna say the same thing, man. Real recognize real out there. It doesn't matter if you have 1080p, 4K, or whatever. the message is true and that's what's resonating. And it's so important that you get it out there. So thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Um, and I feel the same way. I'm shooting on my phone. It's an LG. It's not even like,
No,
a fancy phone.
no 4K.
It's just,
I mean, I guess the iPhone has a 4K camera, but like theoretically, like all I'm doing is just trying to get the message out there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, me too. When I felt how powerful this thing was in my life, I knew I had to share it. And this is an avenue for me to share it. So I'm going to share it. I don't care. Like if it starts out with really crappy quality, maybe in time I could boost the content up. But the point is doing, making sure that we do, you know, we do what we're passionate about, what we know needs to be done. So
Exactly.
very
And
cool.
I think it's huge that content creators or people like ourselves are putting ourselves out there, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of really great things to say. And if they see people like me or you who aren't like big YouTube stars or big crazy stars or anything, or just normal everyday people, like it's gonna open up conversation for them, you know? Like
Yeah.
I would never have thought about what you do unless I saw it. And now I think about it and I'm like, man, if I just was more active, maybe it would open up another opportunity of me being healthy and me being happy. You know what I'm saying? Like without you,
Yeah.
I never would have thought about that.
Yeah, and that's the same for me. When I started this, I didn't know the kind of effect it could have on my life. I
Yeah.
just knew it was a good way to get rid of stress. So I tried it. But then I started to get introduced to all these new things, like as far as mental health recovery goes. I started doing research on why. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling more confidence and self-esteem and this self-validation? Is this all from the bag? And I started doing that research. And then once I found the answers I was looking for, I started sharing them, and other people are being able to be exposed to this thing, and that's been really cool in my life. So
Yeah. That is
I'm
pretty.
all about it, man.
Hey, I tune into those lives, man. I'll tell you what,
It's
they're
good stuff.
it is. I love it. I know I appreciate.
Even I appreciate it, man. Even if someone's tuning in and they're not working out at home, if they're tuning in for the positivity, we're starting to roll in more mental health tools, more progress into our training session, and that's because of my exposure to people like you and to other people who have mental health accounts. I'm
Yeah.
now starting to roll other tools into our training. So we're incorporating a little bit of visualization. We're going to be incorporating some breath work. And we start every episode now with a little piece of gratitude that puts us on a positive mindset. So
Dude, that
it's awesome that working together, like even just being exposed to each other's avenues,
yeah.
can grow. We can all grow, in our own ways.
And I think it's cool. Like I can kind of understand where you're coming from as far as like opening up your eyes to like more things, because for me personally, like I think um we've started committing more to like trying to put a professional aspect on our Instagram in terms of like having more therapists, having more psychiatrists, having more people who are board certified come in and really give their 2 cents on the conversation. Because
Yeah.
just your page, like you go there and it's like it gives you an opportunity to learn about something new that no one's really ever thought about using for mental health. That's the way I look at it when I go there, because I would never have thought about using a bag, and now it's in my head and I'm like, that's such a good idea. Like, holy cow, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to get behind that.
There's people who actually have done it. It's just that they are not speaking out about it. They're not making it a big, like a public, they're not drawing public attention to it. And that's what I want to do. I want to change the common perception of the bag as a mental health tool, because that's who it's most beneficial for. That's the biggest group of people that can use it. Um, and I just want to shout out to Holistic Chris there for that feedback. Thank you. She said they've been saving me the past few days. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate honest feedback from anybody who's participating. Um, yeah, when I was doing my research on this thing, I found that there are actually some therapists that use boxing training like to rehab patients,
I've
which is
actually
really
heard about
cool.
that, using boxing training and
Yeah,
physical training like that. Hey, what's up, Grace? How are you?
yeah, it's crazy. Even Prince Harry used boxing training to overcome the death of his mother or his grandmother. He had a death in the family, and to help him get through, he used boxing training. And then he funded a boxing training company that was raising mental health awareness around it. So it's out there, man. It's just it takes people to speak up and to try and focus to
Absolutely.
make a difference, to make an impact on society. That's
And
what you're doing in your avenue. You've got a focus, you've got a direction. You're
yeah,
going to bring people with you, and we're going to all grow together. It's amazing,
that's
amazing.
it's all about growth because like it's all about. I mean, you have Stack Life, right, and I have Safe Place, but we really have mental health advocacy as a community. Like, and I think that we
Yeah,
have our things, we have our niches, but at the same time, like we really are here to help people. We really are here to put people in a position to be happy and to live their best lives. You just have a different way of doing it, and it's
yeah,
awesome. I have a different way of doing it, you know. So
yeah,
I think it's just like it's so cool because ever since I've joined and started this organization, this community, it's given me the opportunity to meet more people who are like me, and I think that's the reason why I started. I was like, man, I feel so alone. Like, I feel so alone in my
yeah,
now. There's not like I could literally go and just talk to a random stranger about my because if they're a part of the community, there's a good chance that they're a good person and that they are a helpful person and that they want to help and they want to be there. And that's what's cool, you know?
yeah.
So,
That's really awesome. Positive social support is huge. Same thing with this. When you start doing it, you actually attract those people into your life because you get into that mindset where you're helping yourself, you're improving your life, and that kind of energy that you're putting out radiates and draws other people in on the same path. So I was able to find people to join me before this whole, coronavirus thing kind of isolated us. We had people coming in. I opened my home for anyone who wanted to feel the effects, the therapeutic effects of boxing training. And we were building a group. We were building a nice social support group. Everybody's positive, heading in the same direction with this growth mindset. And it was beautiful because we get to create our community.
yeah,
Like you're creating a community with safe space, and I'm creating community with this. But that's our environment. We get to repair what was maybe once a toxic environment. We get to choose a new environment for ourselves and improve that environment. So it's really
absolutely.
cool.
Absolutely. It's been a journey. I'll tell you what, it has been a journey. And I'm sure it's been a journey for you too, right?
Yeah, man. A crazy one, dude. Like, I went through some stuff, dude, but where it's going now, it's so bright what's ahead. For both of us. This is not going to stop. This is not going to slow down. It's
Oh,
only going to get bigger and better exponentially over time. So
now that we've
it's
hit,
great.
now that we've hit nonprofit status, I don't know if there's any way, I don't think there's anything that can stop us. I think that we're going to do some great things here, like soon.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank,
That's
that's,
awesome.
we've been trying to do it for like the past 4 months and we kept running into roadblocks and then the Corona thing happened. So it made government official documents even longer just because
Yeah.
of the situation. So after like 4 months, we finally are now labeled as a nonprofit organization where we can. Our goal is to hopefully inspire people to create mental health art in hopes that we are able to provide them scholarships to go to school. That's the goal.
Nice.
That's or even not art. Like let's say they do something like what you're doing. You know, like hitting the bag, boxing, things like that. Anything that they can turn into a story and it be something about mental health or anything they can talk about that's something to be about mental health. Like we want to be able to provide scholarships for kids to go to school. That's important,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
that's kind of the direction we're going in as far as what we're trying to do. We're also trying to do like whenever crises happen like this, we want to be involved in the community and we want to be a point of like interest in terms of like if someone needs help or support, like whenever someone's like, oh man, like I feel so down about this corona, we want someone to be like, hey, I know of a really great like nonprofit organization that can help you. They have free resources that you can go to. We want to be that nonprofit.
That's awesome. That's good
So
stuff, man.
that's
Very cool. You obviously have a very big heart. So thank you for putting it out there and sharing it with everybody.
I appreciate.
Um, I have a lot of respect for what you're doing, and I feel like I'm on a similar path, and I'd like to also eventually get a nonprofit status, and that will be a separate branch of this thing because ideally my dream is to have a charity where we can have gyms set up all across the country where people can train for free if they have mental health issues. So
Yeah,
hopefully we can get that covered under insurance. They get a doctor's note, they go to the gym, bam, they get the training that they can use to better themselves for as long as they need it
yeah,
because this is something I do every day. I'm going to do it for the rest of my life until depression's wiped out from the face of the planet. But not everybody
yeah.
has to make that dedication. It doesn't have to be that big of a thing. It could be something you do once in a while to get that stress out because it's a different outlet. So I
Abs-
just want people to have that, and I don't think they should have to pay for it. I think it's something that should be available. So
I agree. I think one of the biggest deterrents of people getting mental health help in America right now currently is the fact that it does cost bukus of money. And it might even honestly be not only America, it might also be other nations as well for the people that are in UK, for the people that are in different parts of the world, just because we do have like a worldwide presence now. Um,
yeah,
Something where, you know, if you have the opportunity, like for me, if I could go to a gym and it be under the cost of my mental health under my insurance, you better believe it. I will be taking advantage of that gym. That would give me an opportunity to do that for sure. So that's just
yeah, and you're gonna have the cool part about exercise is it's cyclical, and you're gonna have people there motivating you, like pushing you to go a little bit more than you would on your own, and
yeah,
having that positive support, that extra push, it shows you what you're capable of. So it's like this growing thing. It's a snowball effect. So yeah, I
absolutely
want as many people to have that as possible. So super cool, good
doing
stuff.
all the help, man. That's what we're trying to do. Provide all the help.
Yes. All right. So we went over what you do. We went over why you do it. Now I would like to share, if you could share with the audience a mental health tool that we can use. I think you mentioned grounding before. I don't even know what grounding is,
Okay,
but
so I love
help me
talking.
out.
This is like my favorite thing to talk about in the world because it's helped me so much. So back in the day, I used to get lost in my emotions, right? I used to get in my emotions so much, and I would live in those emotions. I would literally build a house, plot a land, build a farm, and stay there and never move. I would live in sadness forever, and
Mhm.
I wanted to try to find a way to change it. And I came across a technique called grounding, and I know that it's such a easy thing to try to do, but it's not an
Mhm.
easy to perfect. And I've been doing it for years, and I still have some troubles here and there with grounding and getting out of my own head. So basically, in times of anxiety, whenever you're grounding, you want to. There's five things you want to do, but I only do personally, and you can do because it escapes my mind what the other ones are. But I do things kind of in a weird way. So it's like thinking about a memory that'll bring you back to reality, or thinking about a smell that'll bring you back to reality, touching something in the room, um, or basically just realizing that your anxiety is lying to you. Like that's the whole point of grounding for me. It may mean something else for other people, but for me, I think real thoughts so that I ground my thoughts, and I think real thoughts so that my anxiety doesn't lie to me and I don't get like a big anxious like spike and a panic attack. So that's how I keep myself from having those issues. So one of the things that I think about, and this is weird, I'm a big time Oklahoma fan. I love
Okay.
so, but my thing is that I think about this football game when I watched as a kid, and it happened, and it was the Oklahoma Boise State football game, and I don't know if you're into football, but it was one of the most iconic football games that have ever happened in the history of Oklahoma. We lost. It was terrible. It was one of it's PTSD to talk about it. But whenever I start getting anxiety and I start feeling like really, really bad, I think about that game because that's reality. Like that game is reality. Like that happened, and it brings
Yeah.
down anxious thoughts because
Really?
I stopped thinking about all the bad things that happen or all the bad things that could happen to me from these things. Like I could think all day, like, oh man, like I could lose my job, or I could do this, or I could do that. But then I just think about that game, and I'm like,
Yeah.
back, and I'm like, that game really happened. These thoughts are really not that real, you know?
So you're saying it stops that negative thought spiral.
Yeah, it
That's
like
what you're doing?
stops me in my tracks almost. It's weird, and it's a weird thing to do. But you don't even have to think about some. I think of that memory because it's so real to me. But
Yeah.
for me personally, you can think about, like, I think about a time whenever I want to think about something good. When I would think about a good memory, I think about my brother and the time we played Halo together. I used to play Halo professionally, like as a kid. Like I played uh, at a very high level,
Yeah.
and he used to take me to all my tournaments all the time. He would be the one that would drive me and take me and be my coach and help me out and just be there for me. Um,
Yeah.
I think about that memory, and it stops me in my tracks of my anxious thoughts too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad memory. It can just be something that's like that touches your soul,
Yeah.
takes you
That's
to a better place. I went to Disney World or Disneyland like a year ago, and I think about riding a ride with my daughter, and it brings me back, and it just makes me feel so much better, you know.
that's beautiful. That's
So
that's awesome.
it's like
Um,
the thoughts by getting out of your own mind.
yeah, I haven't heard of that before. It's definitely something now I'm gonna see if I can implement and try for myself if I ever get back into a negative thought spiral. It's been a really long time for me since I've had to deal with that kind of um, situation where you start to spiral down. Nowadays, it feels like every time I run into a struggle, it just feels like an uphill struggle. It feels
Yeah,
like I know where I'm going, and yeah, this is a roadblock, but it's something I'm gonna get past, and I'm almost excited to learn ways to get past it.
dude, that's
It's like a different mindset.
people have been asking me. They've been asking me a lot lately how I've been dealing with Corona. And for me personally, I've just been dealing with it in terms of being like, this is an uphill thing, like exactly how you're saying it. Like
Yeah,
this is an uphill technique. Like we're gonna get through this. It's gonna be hard, but we're going uphill. We're going against the wind. It's raining right
yeah,
now. It looks really dark, but eventually we're gonna get we're gonna get on that downhill slope where we're gonna be able to see the sun, the clouds, and the rainbows again. You know, like we just have to just keep pushing.
temporary. It's temporary. So we have to, by default, we will get past it. It's temporary. This is not a permanent thing. So,
Absolutely,
uh, you want to just, it looks like there's a lot of comments coming in. I just want to check those.
yeah.
Something that makes you happy and pressing between your thumb and finger every time you feel anxious. That might be a grounding technique as well?
Yeah,
That's,
that's actually one of the co-creators of the Safe Place. That's my aunt.
oh, cool.
Yeah, she's cool. She's awesome. Hello, Auntie. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for the input. Pressure points. Cool. Very cool technique. Uh, Thank you very much for sharing. Um, you're saying it grounds you, it takes you out of those thoughts, and that's something that I find with the bag too, in its own way. When you get into a zone and your focus is fully devoted to the bag, to the training, and thinking about all these little things, there's all different types of tiny little things you have to think about at the same time. The way your hips are turning, whether your foot's flat on the ground or your heel is raised, the way your shoulders are rotating, bringing that shoulder up to guard your face, rotating the hand, making sure your contact here. You're breathing out with every strike. You're focused on a point. There's so many things going on that it puts you right in the now. It puts you right in the present moment, and
It's
you're alive and you're powerful,
a
and
big,
it eliminates all that, eliminates that ruminating thought. All those worries about the past and future are gone because you're right there in the zone. So I think that's kind of like grounding, right? That's what's happening there.
yeah. I mean, I feel like the big, like in the big picture of grounding, basically, it's like you want to just center your mind and block out negative thought. Not necessarily because you really do want to go through your negative thoughts because it's a healthy habit to go through those thoughts. Um, but at the same time, like you don't want to live in them. So whenever you're essentially you're hitting the bag, you're not necessarily escaping your thoughts and leaving your thoughts. you're putting your thoughts into that bag. What I understand,
Getting them out.
getting them out, like you're knocking it out. So for me personally, I mean, grounding is really what you make of it. There's no like you're doing it wrong. You're terrible, like it
Yeah.
really is just what do you prefer? How do you prefer to do it? And what makes you comfortable? That's really the end result. So what you do is a form of grounding and you don't even know that you're doing it.
Yeah, I didn't know it was called that, but that's pretty cool. What a
So
fun. We got haters in the studio. It's all good. Yeah, but we're sharing positive mental health tools with people who are interested in growing. So if you
yeah,
find it beneficial, hang around, enjoy it. If not, then maybe this isn't the show for you,
I
to the
agree.
haters. But yeah, so very cool. I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else that you wanted to add about what you're doing right now, just to let the viewers know, or
Uh,
where you're heading in the future, or what's
where
coming up?
we're heading and where we're going is we're going to be um, pretty much just going full force into the nonprofit thing. We're going to be trying to find different ways to help people. We have some merch that's going to be coming up for sale soon, so be on the lookout for that. It'll be shirts, and it'll be going towards basically any sort of community outreach that we're going to be doing. So that's pretty much it. Just keep continuing to follow, keep continuing to DM us if you need any support. I'm sure I don't know if that's something you offer as well, but we want to make sure we try to support the community whenever they need help. So pretty much just
Yep.
need to keep DMing us and showing us love and support and how we can help you. That's
Yep,
about
we're here too. If anyone is interested in trying out shadowboxing for yourself, we offer free virtual classes every night. You can reach out to me if you're interested in private lessons. We can do things through Zoom, through WhatsApp. We have all kinds of different tools available. We're also trying to support our local community right now. If anybody's listening with a local business, we're trying to pull together for people who are still open, finding ways to serve the community. We want to draw some attention to you with our page. So if anybody's listening out there, hit me up in the DM. Let's talk about what we can do together. And then just to recap, because we like to end that show on that with that mental health tool. To recap on the tool, the grounding technique is when you start to feel yourself in a negative thought pattern, to think of a memory that is real, that's grounded in reality,
mhm.
right? And
Yep, that's
to
a personal way of doing it. But there's different ways, there's different touches you can put on. Like think of a favorite smell, a favorite flavor of food, something that's real and tangible, like not because your anxiety and your thoughts are not always real and tangible. They're sometimes over in your head where you're like people will tell themselves they're a terrible person, but in reality they might not be a terrible person.
yeah, yeah. The lies. Those are the same lies that you get from depression. Depression and anxiety are kind of side by side, feeding you a bunch of BS that has no place in the real world. So that
Yeah,
grounding technique sounds really, really like it would be a good tool. So
awesome. You should give it a shot and let me know how you think of it.
yeah, thank you so much for being our second official guest of honor on
Hey,
Keeping It Real, Staying Alive edition. And for anyone who's interested, yeah, you're welcome. And for anyone who's interested in catching this, if you didn't catch the live, it'll be up for 24 hours. And we're also going to post the raw footage up to YouTube on our YouTube channel at Sack Life Official. And I'll send you a copy as well, too, if you want to do something with it.
I think
Totally up to you.
you appreciate that.
You got it, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, have a good
Take care.